Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on youth, community, and lifestyle. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social platforms. First up, on How to Steam Your Dreams, we explore the excitement of Day 2 at the 2025 Ocean Bowl Games in Baltimore. Next up, on Read Science, we learn about the oceans and the secrets they hold with marine biologist Helen Scales. On the Spotlight DMV, Chef Swank and the founders of Narcisso Wine Cellar sit down for an exclusive chat about the upcoming Chef's Table dinner in Prince George's County. Finally, on the Hair Kytchen, community leader Taylor Frazier talks updates with the proposed data center site in Landover. Thank you for tuning in to this week's programming of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle.
Steve up! Steve up!
I know we gonna win. It's me. It's me.
Yeah, you was part of last year's winners, right?
Yeah.
You got any advice for like this year for anybody trying to compete?
Oh yeah. Just listen to Cameron. You know, it'll all work out.
We're gonna get back up though.
Don't worry. At the end of the way, we're gonna do it, bro.
What's your team name?
Aqua Titans.
Preparing for today's game. We want to come to you to ask you to help us and thank you for being with us while doing these games.
Man, I don't even know. I don't think I got one, but I think I want to win, and I'm feeling confident. You guys gotta feel confident.
Good morning. Another day to play hard and win big at the Ocean Bowl Games 2025. Yesterday, our kids tested their brains. Today, they're going to test their skills with esports. So we've got 250 kids. We've got 7 schools, but there can only be one champion. So who's it going to be? Stay tuned and find out.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy that everybody is here and that Fairleigh had the opportunity to host Ocean Bowl Games. We are excited. And again, I wish everybody, all the teams here, all the luck. Unfortunately, you might lose because my team is the best right here. Oh! But good luck to everyone. Thank you. I think everybody's a winner.
Yes. Winners and learners. Mm-hmm. No losers. But we did come here to win, not to play. We saw Harlem Park, very good, very competitive players, but we didn't come here to lose. We didn't come here to learn. We came here to win.
Let's go! Like Cecil Kirby represent East Baltimore. They know what it is. We ain't come here to lose. So nobody, Randy, Robin, all pop, everybody going down. We came here to win. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Someone came here to win. Someone came here to win.
I like to say good luck to all the teams. Let's have a lot of fun today. But we do know where that trophy's going.
We do know where that trophy is going. Once again, we do know where that trophy is going. It's right where we are, guys.
All up pop, all up pop, all up pop, all up pop.
Now let me talk about my baby, beach balling. I designed this to test how players lock in with all the distractions that's going on with them. You keep your timing and your focus. The game is clean and simple fun, but it's connected to our secret sauce, STEAM IQ. This is our educational management system. STEAM IQ brings STEM curriculum into the game, real state standard lessons, so while you're battling pop quizzes, we'll show up. You answer right, boom. Power up time. That's how we flip the script. Brains over blunt force. every time. In beach balling, you can go 1 versus 1, 1 versus CPU, or 2 versus 2. And it's all local co-op. You're playing with your buddy, your friend right there on touchscreen tablets. Your dolphin spins clockwise. You got to tap it to unleash water skirts at the beach ball, knock it into the opponent's goal line, and score. Go! First to 3 wins, or whomever leads when the clock stops. That's who wins the game. So watch for power-ups like the tsunami wave, super shot, even mess with your opponent's timing, so don't sleep on them.
I'm gonna show you guys on the board who you're gonna go against in beach balling. So they need to be sitting with their teammates. We're gonna bust out the tablets, and we're gonna go to work. Y'all ready to go cooking?
All right, and this is our first spotlight match of the day. This is a Furley versus Furley, so it's 2 teams, 1 school. The Divas versus the Dog Lovers. The Dog Lovers have wisely implemented the wall to keep the defense up, but the on, so now we're back at strategy here. Up, the first math questions that come up. All right, we got correct answers on the Diva side and the Dog Lovers, so we're back into the action. Like, this game is really, like, it looks simple, but it really is about timing, patience, and strategy, and of course, a sharp mind, because you've got the math questions coming at you out of nowhere. And the second round of questions are on the board. Perfectly timed shot. The Divas are moving closer to the goal. They're up. Divas are on the board. And Divas are close to scoring again. And then, there it is. Just like that, Divas are up 1. All right, hot and heavy. Jellyfishes are already going for the goal. Tiger Sharks are blocking. Up. Are we about to see a real quick goal? Or again, this game is about timing, patience, and aim. All right, we see a wall, we see a defense wall up, so if the Tiger Sharks do get over there, they're going to be blocked, but they got to defeat this math question first, and they're back in it. That was the perfect time to get that shot, like it's right in the middle. Like, all you need is that perfect shot from either team.
The problem with the perfect shot is it requires perfect timing, and perfect timing requires patience and paying attention to what's going on, understanding rotation. This is math, not just the math questions that they're solving, but doing this, using physical force while spinning around. This takes a lot of intelligence.
Indeed, but with each math question that's solved, you do get a power-up.
It's just like every team needs a group of players. There are no weak links. We need to have the math in our heads and in our bodies to be able to work.
Oh, and the jellyfish are on the board.
We got tied up, y'all. It's anybody's game.
1-1.
They're knocking out these math questions for y'all. You can get a chance to get them out. Got some math.
It's a draw.
And it's a draw.
It's a draw.
Give it all up for both teams, y'all. Well, we're gonna make a song together. Everybody in this room, Sister Sherry, can we make a song? Let's make a song. Let's make ourselves a song. Tell me your favorite color.
Red.
Red. Very red. Tell me, yes, you young lady, tell me your favorite animal.
A cat.
A cat. We got red and cat. Tell me, when you grow up, where do you want to live?
A mansion.
Mansion. We got a red cat mansion. So now what we need, DJ Mix, can you drop the beat? Ask me a red cat. When we chillin', when we living in the mansion. Find me a red cat. Yeah, we'll be chillin' in the mansion. I need a red cat. More than I need a red cat. I got a blue cat. I probably lose that, because I don't need that. What I need is the beat back, because all of y'all want the real cat. Whether you use a regular capper, we're doing everything for our people to be the doctor. Please, go here and jam. Roll down your ankles and do a little slam and spin. I need a red cat. Who's with it, y'all? Now we going in the mansion. Meow, 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 meow. Thank you for jamming and coming with the freestyle session. Are y'all ready for the final round of these games?
Hi, everybody. This is Joanne with Read Science, and I am joined, as always, by Jeff Schomeyer, my co-hosts. And today we are joined by Helen Scales, who is sitting in the UK currently. She is the author of several books, including the one we will focus on today, The Brilliant Abyss, Exploring the Majestic Hidden Life of the Deep Ocean and the Looming Threat that Imperils It. And I have read past books of Helen's and loved them. So I was so excited that she had a new book and we had the opportunity to speak with her today. Do you want to say hi to everybody, Helen?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for that lovely introduction. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're so glad. So let me read your bio from the back of the book. And Helen Scales, PhD, is a marine biologist, writer, and public broadcaster. She is the author of Spirals in Time, The Secret Life and Curious Afterlife of Seashells, and Eye of the Shoal, A Fish Watcher's Guide to Life, the Ocean, and Everything. She has written for National Geographic, The Guardian, New Scientist, BBC Wildlife Magazine, and BBC Focus, among others. Everywhere our favorite authors write, I think, and appears regularly on BBC Radio. She teaches marine biology and science writing at Cambridge University and advises the marine conservation charity Sea Changers. And you're sitting now in Cambridge.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
That is correct. So not very close to the ocean, sadly, but I have some fish to keep me company, just in case I forget what it's all about.
Very good. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh,
it's really a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure, and I don't always start with glowing reviews or anything, but I think Joanne and I both found your book very rewarding, very enlightening, and great fun to read. We also found that we both had some very strong reactions. There was astounded delight at some of the biology and the physical processes we learned about in the deep ocean, and also our absolute horror at all the countries and corporations drooling to exploit the deep sea any way they can. And I think we'll get to all that. But to begin, I want to read out a couple of quotations and an observation I made that all relate to something I thought was an interesting theme of the entire book, and then ask you whether I was right about that and what you think. First quotation, the oceans have always shaped human lives, but the surface and the very edges have so far mattered the most. Second quotation, for the longest time, the only things people thought lived in the deep ocean were monsters, demons, and deities. And I remember the time when you talk about this time not so long ago, but in living memory, when people thought the deep ocean was basically empty. There was maybe a whale over there and things, and that informed your discussion of deep sea mining and nodules back from the day when people thought that, well, these nodules have metals we can use and we'll just suck them up because nothing lives down there and nobody cares. And now we know a lot better. And then the observation when you were talking about hydrothermal vents is once chemosynthetic life was found near hydrothermal vents, it also began to be found elsewhere. And so my question is, what does all of this, the empty deep seas, the lack of, like, who knew that chemosynthetic life could even exist? What does this say about scientists' preconceptions and scientific discovery and how it's inhibited or not? I thought I'd start with something easy.
Okay, yeah, easy peasy. Well, here's my stock answer to that. No, there's a lovely quote.
But that's a question that always interests me when I'm reading things and thinking. It just seemed to keep bubbling to the surface. To say
no, absolutely. I think it is a theme through the book, which is, I mean, a part of it I think is just this. I guess it's part of human nature to look for more of what we already know and to look in a way that fits with our preconceptions to our model of the world in our minds and in our, whether it's just everyday people imagining what the world is like and sort of drawing those boundaries in our minds of like, well, there's nothing there, or going back to those ancient maps of here be beasts around the edges of the bits we don't know. and you kind of imagining what might be there, but kind of really, assuming that there isn't much of any great interest. So I guess, I suppose there's two things here I'm trying to kind of grasp at. One is that sort of general perception of this big empty space. And I think that lingers a lot today. And I think that underpins sort of why, and we'll get to this sort of ideas of how people feel about the exploitation of the deep ocean.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a long way to go before it does genuinely become something that more people can kind of bring really into their hearts in terms of caring or knowing and caring about what happens in this completely unseen, this hidden part of the world. Even though the scientists are showing us what's there, it's still very easy to ignore it. So I guess that's part of it. And I think that's always been an issue with the ocean. I think I think it underpins a lot of my work, which is trying to push against that sort of like, we can't see it, it's this blue blanket of ocean, everything down there is hidden, and therefore it's disconnected from us because we can't see it. So it's trying
something as simple as being able to see it is a big deal in that case, right?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think so. I think it's hard for us to generally to appreciate that there are these really critical connections between, everywhere throughout the entirety of our living planet, which is all the way to the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean, as we now know. So I think there's that boundary between water and air it's a physical boundary, but I also think it's an incredible mental boundary for us thinking about this place. So even as the science now is starting to show us just how interconnected everything is, physically, chemically, the heat that's moving around, just the sheer fact that we're all species living on this one planet of ours, whether we live in the bottom of the Mariana Trench up a mountain or strolling around on a beach, we're all in this together. And that's a really big concept to get our heads around too, sort of generally. But I want to pick up another point in terms of the science. There really is this sort of, we look for what we know and then you find more of that thing. And it's those kind of, it's like the discovery of hydrothermal vents. So suddenly, boom, like this whole new thing, this whole bubble, universe almost explodes because suddenly you realize it's not as we thought it was. And for me, that's why I find the deep ocean so exciting. Because you do have those extraordinary moments of, oh, wait, it's not what we thought it was. This is a whole new way of life. This is a whole new type of living, a whole new way, the geological breakthroughs, you get all those kind of things. But it often just takes kind of those serendipitous, like it wasn't an intention to go looking for hydrothermal vents and what lives there. I mean, sure, they were looking for the chemistry and the geology, but no one was going there to look for animals. They were completely blown away when they saw anything was living there at all. Same with things like those wonderful bone-eating worms, one of my favorite geocidae.
Yes.
And it was a total surprise. No one was looking for them. No one was looking at bones. And yet they came across this dead whale lying in the Monterey Canyon. There he is. I should say, Ruby the whale. I don't know if they figured out. It was a female whale. Yeah, somehow they figured out from the bones. Yeah. Covered in this pink stuff, which turned out to be a whole new life form that no one had ever seen before. But it was a total chance discovery. As soon as you find one, then people started looking and we found them everywhere. Yeah. And I love that too. It's like you open this little window and go, hey, wait a minute. But it's often that chance first discovery that makes it kind of, you realize you should go look there. And I guess you just don't know what other windows we're going to open, I guess.
How hard was it to convince? I remember hydrothermal things sort of happening in the popular press. It's like, how hard was that to convince people that's like, no, look, there's life there and they metabolize chemistry stuff? Because
it took a couple of years scientifically to figure that out. I mean, that first discovery, I think, was a big, I'm pretty sure it was sort of, National Geographic were sort of filming it and there was pictures and so on.
But it was more figuring out than denying and having to convince them, wasn't it?
No, I think, showing people those images was very powerful. And it did take a couple of years and some really smart scientists to figure out how this thing was possible and how this ecosystem, this incredibly rich ecosystem, was able to support itself in such extreme conditions. So no, I think when the science comes along, people kind of latch onto it. It's getting to that point of doing the science, which is sometimes
and the seeing is really important. The emphasis that the remark that you made about how our main familiarity is with the surface and with the seashores, which is very two-dimensional. We're still, I think most of us, me too, reading the book, I discovered it's like I really have no idea how unfathomably big the ocean is.
Yeah.
And how deep it is. And It's big.
I mean, it's so big. I mean, I tried in a couple of ways in the book to try and figure out ways of demonstrating that. But even
My favorite was the marble.
The marble. Yeah, did you like that? That was fun.
I love
the marble was fun.
So the idea being, if you just took a normal glass marble, I haven't got one to hand, but anyway, I usually wave one at people when I'm talking about this. But yeah, the idea if you sailed out over to off to a part of really deep ocean, dropped it over the side of your ship, how long would it take to get through all the different layers of the ocean? It was partly an idea of showing that it's like this kind of layers of like in a sundae glass. I don't know if that's the word you would use in American.
Parfait, maybe.
Dessert glass.
A trifold. Perhaps.
A trifle glass, yeah. Nice cocktail, maybe. Anyway, we've got all these different layers: the twilight zone, the midnight zone, the abyss, and then the Hadal zone at the bottom. And that, it would take like 6 hours to get to the very deepest trenches in the Hadal zone at the very bottom. And that is still, it's like that's just like, it's still just crazy, but crazy big.
Well, I love that. I love that you said that. And actually, just before we leave the hydrothermal vent thing, I remember being in middle school. So everyone start calculating my age when the teachers had caught on to this big news and started telling us about it. And I was on Guam. So those watching who don't know this, my dad was in the Air Force and I lived on Guam. So surrounded by ocean for 6 years. Yeah, and really close to the Marianas Trench. Right. So some research vessels would take off from there. So
and you went so far. I mean, okay, the Galapagos is probably a fair old sail from Guam, but
for the hydrothermal vents, that's near the Galapagos.
That was the first ones, was the Galapagos ones. I'm sure there are lots. I know, a lot closer to Guam as well. And the Pacific is just generally a very exciting, geologically very exciting place to be, and oceanic. The stuff is amazing around there. So I know they've done some fantastic research more recently, actually, on seamounts and things around Guam. There's been some wonderful NOAA expeditions with amazing image brought back.
It made me think of when I was a graduate student, and about the time of the explosion of interest and discovery of deterministic chaos everywhere. It's like somebody found, they found out it could happen. They discovered these nonlinear systems could do this. You got strange attractors and all of this, and suddenly they were everywhere. And it's like now hydrothermal vents seem to be everywhere you look, almost, don't they?
Definitely in the places we know they form. Joanne, I'd love to ask, actually, do you remember how you felt when those discoveries were coming? Like, what did you think about that sort of, was it like alien life on Earth, or like, how did it?
The lipstick tube worms, those things were like, what? So now I was already a curious kid. My path towards science seemed to already be determined. But things like that just really, it blew me away. And I'm so grateful to the teacher to pointing it out. Now, my parents may have, but I doubt it. I remember being in school when I heard about it. So cool. And knowing that really, even though it wasn't near Guam, I'm here where, they were trying to do research and everything else. So that was really just so cool. Exciting. I remember being very excited about that, and that those things are living there.
Yeah.
Impossible.
And the fact that we're still finding so much more. There's basically vents dotted all the way along the edges of tectonic plates, wherever they may be throughout the oceans. A lot of them many have been studied, but many haven't. And pretty much every time somebody goes to look at a new one, it's like, oh, here's another weird thing we didn't know existed. Whether it was a yeti crab or a scaly-foot snail, or whoever knows what else is going to come next. But there's this amazing regional differences in vent life. They are very different in different parts of the Pacific. Those are the.
These are all these crabs. Oh my gosh, it's like a mound of white crabs.
Huge mound of crabs, exactly. Those are a type of yeti crabs that were originally discovered again in the Pacific species. These ones, I think those particular ones those are Antarctic actually, but they were originally discovered in the Pacific. There's various different species, and they kind of dot themselves along the vents, these kind of linear, because the edges of plates are kind of form these lines across the planet, almost like it's sort of the stitching, if you like, between the tectonic plates. And the vents form there. And these ones, these are Antarctica. And you can see the density of life there. And that's the sort of thing you see, in the middle of a fairly sparsely populated deep ocean. Suddenly it's like, poof, okay, hang on, what's going on here? And again.
What's up, guys? It is your girl Rose with the Spotlight DMV, and we are back with another Behind the Event. And guys, I am loving these Behind the Event. If you cannot tell, it is a chance to really get to know the people that are putting on these events in our community, so you can see what they're all about, not just what the event is about, but the person's organizing the events. Because let me tell you, we all have a story to tell. And so today I am so excited to bring to you Narcisso Wine Cellar and Chef Quincy, Chef Swank Winstead, the team behind one of the most anticipated food and wine experiences happening right here in Prince George's County. Welcome to the Spotlight DMV.
Hi. Hi.
And so, guys, before we get into it, I want to play a little something for you that you may have seen floating around on social media. So guys, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Chef's Table Dinner. It is an intimate evening of bold flavors, handcrafted Maryland wines, and community connection. And listen, if you already know about Narcisso Wine Cellars and about Chef Swank, you already know you don't want to miss this. So go ahead and grab your seat now. You can head to the link in my bio or in the description for this discussion and use the code SPOTLIGHTDMV10 to save on your ticket. Seats are limited, and I promise you they are going to sell out. They're already close to selling out because, like I said, it is an intimate dinner. So now, as I mentioned earlier today on social media, if you're following me on the Spotlight DMV on Instagram and on Facebook, I am having a special announcement tonight at the end of this conversation. So stay tuned all the way to the end for a big announcement and your chance to win something special. It's going to make this experience even sweeter. And so I'm very excited to welcome my guests, Dahlia Chambers and Cindy Campbell, the powerhouse sisters behind Narcisso Wine Cellar, and the man bringing the flavor to the chef's table, Chef Quincy, Chef Swank Winstead. Welcome, y'all. I'm very excited to have you all here. And so let's really get into this. Before we get into the event, as I mentioned, what I love about Behind the Events is that people get to meet the organizers behind it. They get to hear the vision and how it all came together. And y'all know me, I love a good story. And so I'm going to start with Narcisso Wine Cellar, the sisters Dahlia and Cindy. And you ladies, you have such a special story. And, you know, I've been there from the beginning. So I'm so excited that I just really get to talk about your journey along the way and give you a platform to speak about it as well. And so Narcisso Wine Cellar actually started out of living rooms. It started out of fellowshipping. It started out of women getting together. Tell us about how you built this Maryland premium wine brand. Take us through some of the early days and how it all began.
Well, this is a storyteller right here, but I heard you. As you know, we are originally from the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua.
This is the area of Nicaragua, specifically Bluefields. You have to represent Bluefields, right?
Yes.
So specifically, this is the area of Nicaragua where most of the people of African descent are from. And there is this tradition of fruit wines. As you know, we've mentioned before that it's especially during the holiday season that different families and friends would make fruit wines and exchange. Wines like cashew wines, corn wines, all different types of fruit wines, right? And as a matter of fact, we always talk about my dad making fruit wines, and that was the beginning for us. But I was thinking about the other day that mom used to mention that her mother, so our maternal grandmother, used to also make orange wines, right? So this is just, it started as from tradition. So essentially rooted in tradition. And, you know, then it became a thing for us to be able to have family and friends get together. It was a hobby at first, as you know, something that I just wanted to do. You know, I called my dad, asked for his recipe, and decided to do this. And but not too late after, different people started asking me to make wine for different events. And Cindy, of course, you know, approached me with the idea of—
You're so kind. She said approach.
with the idea of turning what was my hobby into a company. And at the time, I just couldn't see it, you know. So I told her no. And she would say that I told her absolutely not. You know,
He's being nice by saying just no.
But you know, a year later and several requests later from different people, I realized that this is something that we should be doing, not just for having a company, a winery, you know, but also as a nod to our heritage. And as you know, two of our wines represent that, and that's Midnight and Serenity. Both of those wines are infused with other fruits and directly representing who we are and our heritage.
And I would just add to that I see it more of, in addition to that, is also an extension and a continuation. For us, it was always about sharing with family and friends. And to me, when we talked about our philosophy about winemaking and the company, it was just extending it to a larger family, if you will, because we're still focused on sharing that with our community. And so this is just kind of the Narciso wine family. So that I'll add that part to it.
You know, I really love what you're saying because, you know, as some of you may know, that my family is also from Bluefields, Nicaragua. And as I have shared with both you, Dahlia, and Cindy, about you both really helping me to change my point of view on how I look at winemaking and how I view who should be making wines, right? Because you know, my mom used to make fruit wines as well. And I just always looked at it as like some kind of crazy concoction. Like, come taste this thing. I'm like, Mom, I am not drinking that. I'm not. And, you know, we tend, like, because that's not something that we have seen where the wines from those countries are respected in the same way that other wines are respected. You know, I was not exposed to that, so I didn't know how to frame that and how to even think about it and how to even respect that as a part of my culture, right? Like this is what we've been doing. Is that we're not in stores or whatever, but this is still wine, and it's still something that we have been making all our lives. You know, it's something that's been passed down for generations. And so, speaking of something that's being passed down, and as family, you know, you guys have a family business. All of this, your family is a part of it. Y'all are sisters. So talk to us about it. And you have been on a roll this year. Like, first and foremost, when you launch, like, because your company is not that old, even though you have been making wines for a long time. So when you first started doing it in your living room and like sharing with people and thinking, okay, you know, this is something past just a tasting. Talk to us about that piece of it, about when it was like, okay, you know, Cindy asked and we said that it's going to be a business. When did that start? Like, what year?
So that part of it was 2019, after 2 years of her saying no, and that, but it allowed us to kind of talk a bit more when she said yes, was to really think about how we wanted to run our business, right? That it was more than just a business. It was, as I said, an extension, but also what is it that would be the kind of the guiding principles of our business, our philosophy. And we came up with a couple of things that were very straightforward and simple, but that were always important to us. And we continue doing that today. And one is just making good tasting wines, right? Yeah. To make it approachable. And I know you probably hear that a lot about wines, but we really wanted to make it easy for people to enjoy wines. It didn't have to be super complicated. Making it accessible, meaning that not just being able to purchase it online or something like that, but also as a price point, but everything that we talk about in terms of our philosophy, whether it's approachable wines, accessible wines, getting our community involved, working with our community, local businesses, these are all things that we saw as that applied to us as well, that we would be approachable. So that, you know, the wine industry, you know, can be very, for lack of a better term, like pretentious. And so people are like, oh my God, it's so complicated. I don't want to do this, or I'm afraid to ask questions. So we wanted to make us as a business, as people, approachable, accessible, the same way that when we have events, you can still come and talk to us. People reach out to us and ask for, whether it's to do an event or donations, and making the time to talk to them. And then collaborating. That's one of the things that has been like number one since day one for us, was making sure that we give back. So that's just something that it's a priority for us. And we did that year one. I don't know if you recall, but we had about 34 businesses that we collaborated with within Prince George's County or our community. And that's something that we will continue to do as well. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we started 2019. In 2023, we did our first release, because, you know, from vine to bottles takes a bit. 2023 was our first release. So if you look at it from that perspective, the end of June of this year has only been 2 years. But we did a lot of, as you know, from the beginning, a lot of group, you know, tastings, focus groups, just trying to find what was missing, the gap that was here locally, especially in Prince George's County. And so that is what helps us make decisions about how we ran our business back then, but how we will continue to do it.
And you ladies have really kicked down the door when we're talking about collaboration, but not just collaboration, but even in how you launched your brand. Because when you launched, how many different types of wine did you launch?
Yeah, that's a funny. I mean, that part, you know, we did a lot of course, research and whatnot before starting this business. But one of the things that we did not do research on was how many wines should we really start out with? And we started out with 7, which was just crazy, right? But actually, Dahlia had like 9 wines that we worked on. And so somehow we decided, like, oh, 9 was way too much, but 7 was just right.
That's right.
So it wasn't until like meeting with other, wine colleagues in the area that they were like, 7, how about 2, maybe 1. So yeah, we just didn't know any better in terms of that sense, but it's worked out for us because we were thinking about just having a portfolio where everyone could find something that they liked, because everyone's palate is different. And we were not going to just say, it has to be only dry wines, because we knew that there is not only a market, but that people who have a preference for a semi-sweet palate, let's say, that they deserve to have good tasting wines as well. So, so we started out with 7.
And so this year, y'all have also been, you launched one in the summer, and I want to play this video about, for Solstice, the launch that you had of one of your more recent wines this year. Hang on. Oh, not that one. Yes, and so that was this June, the launch of one of your newer wines. Talk to us about, because you have a few that you're launching this year, right? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, actually in March, I think it was March, was when we launched our first sparkling, our rosé, our Jubilee, that was a tribute to our mom. And then in June is when we did our Blancs of Blancs. So that was our second sparkling. So we been busy, and of course we have a Cab Sauv that we have also this year. So it's been a busy year, but I hope that 10 is I think we should, we're always thinking about like, oh, what's something new? I mean, with our entire collection is trying to, while we may use the traditional methods to produce our wines, we try to find something different to give people. And I think that, you see that with our collection, with some of the blends that we have and the grapes and the varietals that we choose. So that's, we've accepted that we just do things differently and hope that it works out, right?
I think too, coming from the fruit wine background, we are not in a box.
Yeah.
We have fun with our wines. We get to experiment. And I am just tickled that Midnight, especially, right, has been so successful. It has just been crazy.
Yeah.
It has just been crazy. So yes, I think that perspective allows us to just try things and just be fearless in doing this.
And so Midnight, we were talking about that just before we went live about Midnight. So even the name, it means something special. Tell us about Midnight and why that one is so special.
Well, Midnight, the name itself comes from there is a dance in Bluefields at the end of May, just before the rainy season, where people from the traditional Black neighborhoods come out at midnight and we have a dance. We form essentially a human tunnel. You dance underneath, and then you become a part of the tunnel. As partners go through the tunnel, and then you hold hands and you become a part of the tunnel. And this is done as a celebration and welcoming the rainy season. So originally, the dance itself is called Tulululu. So originally, when we were looking for a name for midnight, I wanted it to be midnight at Tulululu. But then Cindy said, can't fit all of that on a label.
I'm looking at her face right now.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get that on a label and have it be, visible.
So we decided midnight. But also, as I said, mentioned before, midnight is one of two of our wines that we have infused with another fruit. Midnight is infused with cranberry. And again, that's just a nod to our.
Welcome to another episode of the Hair Kitchen. And if you are following what's going on in Prince George's County, you may have seen Taylor Frazier on the news because she is definitely the face of no data centers in Landover, and specifically no data centers in Prince George's County. So I'm so happy to have her and have an opportunity. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, Taylor, and how you got into the no data centers Landover?
All right, so I've been a resident of Landover for many years. My family is from Landover, so I've been around Landover my whole life. And once I found out about the data center proposal at the old Landover Mall site, I knew that it was something that wouldn't be good for our environment, wouldn't be good for the residents of Landover. So I started a petition on change.org. And after about a month or so, the Party for Socialism and Liberation reached out to me to help promote my petition. And that's what really helped it to go viral. We created a reel on Instagram, and that reel now has close to 300,000, or if not 300,000 views by now. So it's been really pivotal in helping to push the petition along. And I think that we'll get the results that we desire. We will not see a data center put in Landover Mall site.
All right, so you heard it straight from her. I have a few questions. So how long have you been interested in just the environment? Because I've seen your interviews and you talk about, the impact that it'll have not just on the community and the people, but the environment and how it's not good for people's health and things like that. How long have you been an advocate for the environment?
I would say my whole life. It started with my elementary school teacher, Mr. Edward Goulart, getting us really passionate about the environment. And then also my mother at home had us be very passionate about politics and kind of impacting and making a change in our communities. So I've always been a part of community organizations. I was the president of the District Heights Youth Empowerment Organization, and we worked to kind of bring youth activities and events to the community so that we wouldn't be doing things like committing crimes or being violent in our communities. We would have places to be and spaces to participate in powerful activities. I also worked with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation as a child to help rehabilitate certain areas of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, and I'm somebody who's just very passionate about community and building a future and a legacy for not just myself, but for my family. So I knew that this was not something that I wanted to be part of the Landover legacy. So I wanted to stop that.
Okay. So what do you think, and how do you feel like since the movement has started, because I guess my biggest question was, how did it get this far in such a quiet way? Like, people didn't know because I didn't know until I saw you talking about it. And I was like, wait, what? A data center in Landover? Where? So I thought things had to happen with permits and zoning and planning. Are they that far along? Where were those little signs that are supposed to go up when something is proposed to be coming? Like, how did it get this far without the engagement that you've now got the community involved in?
I think that it's a lack of the message being spread when there are proposed sites. Like, they put up signs, they might put something in the newspaper, but they have to meet the young voters in the community where they are on social media or on television networks. I think that there should be more of a message spread about the potential for a data center to come to your community. It shouldn't be something that just happens kind of overnight or quietly behind closed doors. There were hearings done on this data center, but of course, because the community was not widely involved or widely made known about the meetings, they weren't able to attend and they couldn't have their voices heard. So that's why I wanted this petition to kind of at least act as a voice for those that could not speak up for themselves prior to. I wanted this petition to be a springboard of conversation and dialogue around what we could see in that space and what we could do to empower the Landover community.
For those who don't know what a data center is, tell them a little bit about what a data center is and why are they trying to bring this to Landover? Why the old Landover mall site? Why smack dab in the middle of a whole community inside the Beltway? And if y'all don't know what inside the Beltway is, it's the part of Landover, the part of Prince George's County that is the oldest. Outside of the Beltway are the newer homes where you hear about all the wealth that goes on in Prince George's County. Inside of the Beltway, they call it the established communities. So this data center bumps up against all of that, but it's more inside the Beltway.
Yes. So I think that the reason they want to put a data center on the Landover Mall site is greed, honestly. You know, I'm not trying to knock anyone's hustle or how they gather their wealth, but I do feel that if you've held onto a site for 20 plus years, you're looking to sell it to the highest bidder and you're not concerned about what comes of it, you know? So I think that this is just the perfect timing for the Lerner Enterprise family, or the Lerner family to sell the land or get rid of the land and make this deal be done. I think that they are trying to increase their wealth even more than what they already have. So I think that they're looking at it from a financial standpoint. And that's great because, of course, everyone in a capitalist society wants to gain more income. But if we think about it from a perspective of the people and what is right for the residents of Landover, we will realize that we can't just grab for those dollars. We have to think about the long-term implications on not just the environment, but on the residents themselves.
So what are some of the immediate dangers that you see for the community with this data center coming, or with the potential of the data center to come?
Yes, potential.
Yeah, potential.
The proposed data center would use 820 megawatts of electricity, and that is enough to power all the homes in Prince George's County combined. So I think that we need to think about that as far as raising electric costs and strain on the grid in our community. As others may have found if they did their research online, we have had rolling blackouts and water issues in Prince George's County and central Prince George's County. So we don't want to make that worse. We don't want to see that getting increased. We don't want the energy rates to increase. We would like to see PJM, which is the company that controls the energy rates, being held accountable for spikes in costs. They currently are not being held accountable for raising the electricity costs. And electricity, it's not made out of thin air, of course, but where it comes from and how it's made is not this labor intensive, cost super, super expensive process. And I think that we need to look at why PJM is charging us so much for something that they are creating and they hold the power of. I think that they have a choice in lowering rates, especially during the time of inflation, to say, hey, you know what, let's cut the people a break on their energy rates because everything else has gone up.
Right.
With tariffs and all of those things, we don't want to see our electric bill coming in the mail and now we're paying $100 more than we paid the previous month.
So data centers, do they pay their fair share, or does it get put over onto the residents with the increased electric costs and the strain on the infrastructure that may already be being strained at this point?
Yes, so the data center would not be paying its fair share. Larry Hogan actually implemented legislation that will waive the 6% sales and use tax for data centers in the state of Maryland. So they will pay a property tax at initiation or, annually, but they would not be paying the 6% sales and use tax that they would typically be paying. So that's taken away. And then when it comes to the rates of energy that they would pay, of course, we don't know specific numbers at this moment of what PJM would charge them versus what they charge a resident. But I can guarantee you that the numbers for PJM, the numbers PJM provides for the data center will be much lower than what they would be providing for a residential rate.
So it sounds like that they could possibly offset the data center's electrical use charges and divide it amongst the outlying residents. Is that how that works?
Essentially, yes. Because you'll see it in Loudoun County, Virginia now. Their electric bills have gone up. They are like data center alley there. They have the most data centers in the country. And it's a high concentration of data centers there. So they are paying for it with their water and energy costs. And I definitely don't want to see that happening for the residents of Landover, especially my family.
All right. So what are the dangers that the data center or concerns that the data center could bring to the community? What are some of those to make people kind of really aware of what could happen?
Yes, so if the data centers are built using diesel energy or diesel backup generators, they will likely emit pollution into the air, as we've seen in Memphis, which will increase asthma conditions such as well as bronchitis, COPD, things like that. So we have to take that into consideration. The streams near the Landover Mall site feed into Lower Beaver Dam Creek, which feeds into the Anacostia, and that will affect DC residents as well as other area residents, not just Prince George's County residents. So we are trying to already clean up the Anacostia as it is, you know. So why would we want to continue to pollute it or change the form of pollution that's going into the Anacostia?
So when you talked about the pollution, what about, so I've seen some news where it talks about the light from the data center, and so I guess we get air pollution and now we're going to get light pollution. So is there a level or is there a standard of, like, at night this light is still going to be going as if it's daytime? What's the light about?
I'm not 100% sure of why they need the lights 24/7. I don't know if it's for security purposes or just, you know, to illuminate the glow of the
data.
Data. But, you know, I think that the light pollution as well as noise pollution are going to be important factors to think about, because there is an apartment community directly across from this site at Maple Ridge. Those residents are not going to be able to sleep without blackout curtains or, you know, some type of blinds and shades up at all times. So it's really unfair to them to have that so close in proximity to where they live.
And when you talk about blackout curtains and the community right there, on the other side, there's a senior community that was just built on the old Glenarton apartment site. I'm not sure the name of it, but when you talked about the pollution, I thought about the seniors who are on fixed incomes. They may not be able to change their residency to move to a place where it's healthier. And a lot of times they have health issues. So this is something that sounds like it could exacerbate situations where they may not even be able to just come outside or sit on their balcony, things like that, because of the pollution. And then someone else also mentioned a hum. Are you familiar with what the hum comes from?
Yes, so that's what I was mentioning with noise pollution. So yes, the data centers have a hum to them. There's a bunch of computers in a big space. There'll be echoes of that sound, and it will carry even further. And we have population of white-tailed deer and other animals that inhabit that area that will be impacted directly by the sounds of the data center, not just the residents.
How do you think